the secret Richtofen Side Easter Egg on Totenreich is one of the craziest storytelling moments in all of Black Ops Zombies, revealing this new version of Edward Richtofen to be the most sickening evil version yet. But what exactly does the entire side Easter egg mean, and what do we learn about Richtofen from it? There is so much to break down from this, including the existence of Dr. Ludwig Maxis, the origins robots, element 115, Kortifex, and other returning characters from Vanguard Zombies, and so much more. Zag arguable. This moment was even crazier than the ending of this map. Let's not waste any more time and jump straight into explaining it all. But if you are blown away with this story revelation like I was, then leave a like rating on this video, and I'd love to know your thoughts below. Now, to clear any confusion on how you actually activate this side Easter egg, you simply need to be playing as Richtofen. And after round 15, buy the Melee Macchiato perk and melee this barrel where you'll be able to dig through the barrel, which I assume is full of body parts and guts that we'll get into in a moment. Richtofen discovers his rudder crochet medal, teleporting us into a hallway that leads to the office of Hitler's altist, known as Richtofen Von List. We'll get into this character in a moment, 0109. But in the lead up to entering this office, we learned that German spies were sent to Santa Fe, despite on the progress the Americans were making on a nuclear weapon in 1942. Richtofen always believed that it was plausible that the Germans could respond with a more powerful weapon, and that there simply was no cost too high in order for this goal to be achieved. Being appointed by none other than Hitler himself, during the process of creating this bomb, their heavy water plant had been sabotaged by the Americans, and failure was almost imminent. With no other options, Richtofen was left to his eternal shame to meet up with the Führer's pet occultist, Oberführer Wolfram von List. Now, this is a character that we originally saw introduced in Vanguard Zombies. Now, despite Von List being a male in Vanguard Zombies and Von List being female in Black Ops 7 Zombies, the backstory remains identical, with Caleris explaining in an audio log that everything that resides within or has spilled forth from the Dark Ether has taken form from the memories of sentience, and that the Dark Ether is a mirror, which it creates from the imaginings of mortals. Explaining why we have Von List existing in Richtofen's universe, as well as the universe that Vanguard Zombies took place in 0255. So just like in the original Vanguard timeline, during a weak moment for the Germans, they began searching for a higher power, that being almost alien, that they can use to their advantage to win the war. This involved the Germans searching across the world to find relics and artifacts, which includes artifacts that were bonded with elder gods. One of them being Kortifex, the Deathless, the original lord of the Dark Ether. Bonded together, Von List and Kortifex made a deal. Help Cortex escape the Dark Ether, and in return you get to command an army of the dead, giving the Germans an endless amount of undead soldiers to win the war. Richtofen meets with Oberführer Wolf from Bonus to strike one of the most inhumane deals in history. The Dark Lord Kortifex would give Richtofen element 115 and the knowledge on how to use it, as long as Richtofen knowingly sends 450 innocent employees of Group 935 to their death. Richtofen didn't hesitate, saying the price was small and that he would pay it again in a heartbeat. He did remain slightly skeptical, though, after completing his side of the bargain, was questioning when the demon would fulfill his side, only urged Richtofen to pick up the sword that was bonded with Kortifex and to sacrifice one of the men direct. And when picking up the sword, Cortex gave Richtofen a taste of element 115 and the power of Cortex himself.
Well, I have completed my part of the bargain. When does this supposed demon of yours fulfill his?
Take up the sword, Richtofen. Offer the sacrifice to the Deathless One.
Now what? My God! I feel it! I feel it in my mind! Yeah, I understand. It is so simple, so beautiful. Oh, I must know more.
You let one of the Dark Ether's most powerful creations in without warning. Your deal was with Von List, not the demon. For one so convinced of their intellect, you are remarkably stupid.
The experience that Richtofen has seems eerily similar to Ultimus Richtofen when he touched the MPD on the moon, 0524 going absolutely insane for a brief moment, giving Richtofen a taste of ultimate power. Kortifex ultimately kept his end of the bargain and gave Richtofen 14 tons of element, 115, which was more than enough to power all of Group 935's ambitions. Mutually satisfied, Von List sends Richtofen away, believing that their business is now at an end, with Richtofen proudly proclaiming that he will use this knowledge for the glory of the Reich with the power of elements 115. Richtofen, along with the help of Dr. Ludwig Maxis, used the elements 115 to develop the giant robots. And in this radio here, it confirms that Dr. Maxis exists in this universe, but also all three robots from the zombies map Origins, being Odin, Freya, and Thor, exist in this universe. And putting in code 935 plays this.
Oberstgruppenführer Edward Richtofen, Group 935, Personal Diary, March 12th, 1945. Ah, what a year it has been. The research, the work, the progress. Ah, it has been exhilarating. The fruits of Group 935's labors have pushed the British off the beaches of France and into the sea. Driven the filthy Soviets back from Berlin, who turned their retreat into an inglorious rout. But this will be as nothing compared to what is yet to come. Today, Dr. Maxis and I have set plans in motion that will bring nothing less than the total unconditional surrender of the entire Allied war machine. We will smash the resolve of the Americans. And while the world still reels, our reasonable mortar will stride from the oceans, ushering in a new age. Odin will crush the British. Freya shall guard Western Europe. Thor will subjugate the Soviet Empire. Tyr. Ah, he is to remind the Amerikaners who their masters truly are. We are the architects of a Reich that will last 10,000 years. It will be glorious.
This is incredibly exciting, because this is the first time that Dr. Ludwig Maxis has ever been referenced in the Dark Ether storyline, which again reaffirms that earlier quote from Cafis of the Dark Ether being a mirror. 0804. All of the original Origins robots were used across multiple continents, but the downed robot that we see in Totenreich was created specifically to crush the Americans, and this downed robot could also be the same downed robot that we see in Origins as well. But the ultimate damning moment comes months after the creation of the robots, where Richtofen finally created the nuclear bomb. And well, you need to hear it for yourself.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an urgent newsflash. I'm being told that German forces are, for the first time, assaulting New York from the air. If you are near a subway station, make your way there. If you are home, stay away from windows. God, just get me out.
$7 million lives snuffed out in a moment of nuclear fire. A great city utterly destroyed.
It was my masterwork.
Dark Ether version of Richtofen dropped a nuclear bomb and killed 7 million people in the city of New York. An undiscovered audio log reveals that on July 4th at 2 minutes past midnight, a Group 935 America bomber took off from Eid Skolon Island. Exactly 18 hours later, it released a hybrid plutonium element, 115 enhanced bomb of Richtofen's design over downtown New York. Everything from Hoboken to Williamsburg was instantly vaporized with a fireball 10 kilometers across. As far away as Gutenberg, no buildings were left standing. Windows were shattered in every surviving structure out to a radius of 51 kilometers. Survivors 56 kilometers from the epicenter were still being reported for treatment of their burns. Richtofen's calculations suggest a yield of around 40 megatons, and as mentioned, early estimates put the number of casualties in excess of 7 million. The Americans offered their utter surrender within 24 hours, and just like that, the war was at an end. Germany had won and absolutely reinforces that this version of Richtofen is the absolute most evil one we have ever seen. Following this absolutely hideous crime against humanity, 1026, Richtofen was hailed as a hero of the Reich, and it was during mere seconds before he was stepping up to receive his Rut Medal. He was snatched by the Warden into the Dark Ether, placing him in the reception of Janus Towers, as we see during the Ashes of the Damned intro cinematic. For nearly a year now, One of the leaked zombies map concepts involved a nuked New York, which would have been incredible, but it seems that those leaks have actually ended up being the narrative behind the side quest, to do with each of our playable characters, with Afghanistan being a leak location for Nikolai, and that being explored in Astrourium 1104. And so here, the nuked New York leaks were true, but true from a narrative point of view. What is hugely exciting, however, is that element 115 and Dr. the Ludwig Maxis exist in this timeline, leading to the potential of many more mirrors of experiences that these characters had in the Ether timeline, expanding our knowledge and context of the idea of memories in the Dark Ether, which was first introduced with the twins in Paradox Junction, seemingly being versions of Samantha Maxis existing before the ending of Tar Toten and post-Target Toteen. This will go down as one of the craziest storyline lore drops in any zombies map ever, 1142. And it's incredibly impressive all these years later for this new version of Edward R. Tofen to be so dark and evil. This will go down as one of the craziest storyline lore drops in any zombies map ever. And it's incredibly impressive all these years later for this new version of Edward R. Tofen to be so dark and evil. I'd love to know your thoughts about this version of Richtofen in the comments down below. Now we know his backstory and your thoughts on side Easter eggs like this, and the story being told this way. I do truly think that this is a highlight of the Dark Ether story so far. Thank you very much for watching, guys.